Hello to you, the ASF fans and the like, if you're watching in on this, but I got a feeling you might be out of your depth if you've not been following the show as of late. But, yes, it's me, Alex, because a certain Mr. AKI has decided not to show his presence here, so I think we can all give a thumbs up to that to kick things off. But of course, this is the breakdown show for ASF Bash of the Brands, which is coming very, very soon. And I can't do a breakdown show by myself. Oh, no, 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 no. So, of course, here's the one with all the info and all the news, all the scoop. All the scoop, shall I say that? It's Dr. Eggman here, of course, as well.
Hello.
That's the best introduction you've got.
No. I can do better than that. This is very important, actually. This is the last breakdown show. It's the last of a lot of things. We've already had the last Smashdown ever for this season. This is going to be the last breakdown show. We've got the last big event coming up, of course, which is the aptly named Bash of the Brands. And then we've got the last ever Roar for the season finale to come.
But yes, I am here to host the festivities, let's say, and to move the sequence of events forward. Shall I say that?
You can say whatever you want and have so far.
That's good. Let's keep going then. But yes, we've got 10 matches to break down for Bash of the Brands. We've got the whole card up here in front of me, and we're ready to talk about, or he's going to talk about, not necessarily me, but Eggman is going to talk about, why the matches are happening, his thoughts on what's going to happen, and eventually a conclusion to what the match, who may win, what might happen, anything. Just anything and everything that he can think of about each individual match for Bash of the Brands that we've got coming up. He's going to talk about. Before we do talk about anything, though, there will be a pre-show, as there has been for every big event. We will have a pre-show the day before the big event itself. So when the big event goes up to be premiered, that's the word. Then also look out for the pre-show, because some things will probably be going down on there. I actually do have the scoop on that front, Eggman.
Exciting.
Because he doesn't make the pre-shows, I do. Yeah, kayfabe. We're not keeping it here. But yeah, he's not in charge of the pre-shows. That's Mr. AKI's job for the pre-shows. So I'm sure he's cooking up something good. There's actually going to be 3 matches for the pre-show. Well, I say 3 matches, but I will tell you them nearing the end of the show, so you can look forward to those. But for right now, we can break it down and begin with our first match. Also, as this is being premiered, there will be a poll for every match that comes up here, for you to select who you think is going to win each out of the 10 matches. And to kick things off, for a little bit of interaction, but if you're not watching the premiere, then you don't have to worry. Then leave your comments down below of predictions if you haven't managed to make it here for the live premiere. So let's get things started, because we've got 10 matches to get through, and Mascot Mania almost took 3 hours to get through, because I just looked.
Did it really take 3 hours for us to get through that?
Yes, and that was 12 matches. And this is 10, so we gotta get moving, so let's go. So, Dr. Eggman, our first match of the day to talk about is the Simpson Clan versus Team X Green, which is obviously Bart and Homer, versus Scourge and Luigi. And I understand, obviously, that Scourge and Luigi are coming off some big wins at Mascot Mania. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Sure. So, yeah, Luigi came off a big win, last man standing match against Mario, so he's got all the momentum in the world right now. He had a big showing at our one night only event that we hosted, the Raw to the Max, where he was in the championship match, that ladder match, the triple threat, and on several occasions almost won it. I thought we were just going to have a new champion there and then. I was that surprised that he was really putting out all the stops. So Luigi's going into this strong, regardless of what's been happening with this whole intertwined, getting personal slightly story. Most of this night is all about SmackDown versus Raw, essentially, or bragging rights, if you will. But some of these matches are getting more personal on that level, and this is certainly one of the most personal. Since the Simpson clan, Bart and Homer, have joined the anti-heroes, they've been obviously doing the anti-heroes' dirty work, and Scourge and Luigi have pretty much had enough of it. You remember when Link came back? Link came back, and they immediately tried to take him out again because the chairman didn't want Link to be back into the company that, I brought him back to Raw. So Scourge and Luigi and Link kind of have all made this little pact because the association here is green, which is why they've called themselves Team X Green, because I guess Luigi and the Scourge could be described as an extreme couple. Let's put it that way.
What about Amy and Scourge? Can they be described as an extreme couple?
I suppose. I don't want to know, though. I'm not interested in that.
Okay, well, we'll move on from that, won't we?
Yes. But they've since then, and then after Scourge got involved, it was suddenly Amy was the victim in all this, getting stunned by Bart on a recent episode, and obviously it's got a little bit more personal from there. It's I would definitely say two loyalists, or two loyalist teams. Certainly Bart and Homer are loyalists when it comes to the company, but now they're completely loyal to the anti-heroes, and Luigi and Scourge, obviously after Mascot Mania, has been a great benefactor to them. They've obviously wanted to stick on and stick up for Team Raw, or just the ASF in general. That's what I always get out of this whole thing, is that the anti-heroes are their separate entity. It almost is very echoey of the NWO in WCW. It's like they were completely their own thing. So when I talk about ASF, I mean like Raw, and when I talk about Raw, you can just channel it back to the ASF.
Yeah, I get you.
So just take it as that. But I will say ASF, but when I do that, I mean like our side, Raw.
Okay then. Now that we got that out of the way, what do you think is going to happen in the match after all is said and done?
So obviously Scourge is going to be showing his emotions. He's definitely he wears his heart on his sleeve. There's never a dull moment when he's on the mic, and he likes to verbalize everything. But I feel like he's going to be, fists are going to fly, but he needs to keep those emotions in check, because otherwise, he could be in trouble. Scourge and Luigi have never officially been a tag team, and we're talking about them facing an actual tag team, the legendary tag team at that, that's been teaming up for longer than people actually think. They might have reunited just before Mascot Mania, but they've been a tag team for quite some time in the past. So and obviously they're family as well, so they have that bond that Scourge and Luigi don't necessarily have. So Luigi and Scourge have got to play it very carefully and try not to let their emotions get much too high, because otherwise they're going to be in big trouble. And hey, just on this season alone, Bart has won the World Championship and defended it many times, and he's been YouTube champion and defended it. So he's had, he's been at the top of the game. But hopefully, because Scourge and Luigi are going on this train of momentum, that they will eventually pull through, because they can. They can definitely beat Bart, and they can definitely beat Homer. They have it in them. I believe in them on that front. So that's my prediction, at least. But as long as Scourge can keep his emotions in check, and Luigi to a certain extent, because he's getting passionate about, being on Raw and the ASF, and he doesn't like what the anti-heroes are doing, clearly, but then again, who does? That isn't in the anti-heroes. So if they can keep their emotions in check, they got it.
So your prediction is Scourge and Luigi for the win?
Yes, but they have to keep themselves under control, and I got a feeling that might be a bigger issue with Scourge because of the whole Amy thing. We'll have to see what happens on the pre-show on that front, because as you've just pointed out, thanks for giving me the info, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm just leaving my options open.
Yeah, well, all will be revealed very soon. We'll move on, though, for that front. So it's Scourge and Luigi. Eggman predicts. What is your prediction? We'll probably get the results right now from the Premiere Live feed. But we will move on. Time is pressing. To another interesting match. It is pinfalls only between Astaroth and Chaos. These two big behemoths going at it once more. They tore the house down at Mascot Mania, and it was an exciting clash to watch the two unstoppable monsters. It was the proverbial unstoppable force meets the immovable object kind of thing. And it's going to be another really interesting clash. But this time, weapons are going to be legal. There's going to be no countouts, and there's going to be no submissions. The only way to win is to pin someone. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, we've already seen this match twice, I hate to point out, but that's not a problem. That's not an issue. My issue is how comfortable now is Astaroth going to be when he takes on Chaos for a third time. Many people may be saying, Astaroth, he can't beat him. It's been proven twice now, because at Mascot Mania, he came up short, he tried to pin Chaos, and it didn't pay off in the end. And that was in like a standard rules match. Then when they had another one on SmackDown, unexpectedly, when Astaroth joined the anti-heroes, the chairman, Mr. AKI, gave him an immediate match against Chaos, and I would say he was underprepared for that one. Because he didn't know at that point that he would be getting a match against Chaos, and in fairness, Chaos probably didn't expect to get a match either, but when both guys are unprepared, the better person's going to come out on top either way, and Chaos beat him again. But in having said that, 2 encounters is a good enough time for you to feel out your opponent. If they're overcoming you, you can kind of get an idea of what their game plan is about, whereas the person who has won doesn't need to think of a new game plan, because they've beaten them, so why change? And therefore you can't learn as fast against an opponent that you've beaten twice. So many people are saying Astaroth, doesn't have what it takes to pin the unpinnable, because that's the whole thing with the Chaos deal here. So I'm looking for Astaroth to come out strong in this match, but can he pull off a win? That's a big... I don't want to show any bias here, I've already shown bias by saying that the Raw team is going to win in that first tag team match. But I need to really call this down the middle, and I'm trying. But I like Astaroth. I'm a fan of his. I've liked his work since the get-go. He's been an absolute monster on the ASF, just rampaging through, former YouTube champion. and defended that title longer than anyone else has defended that title, maybe bar Tails, but there's different reasons why they've done that. Astroth retained with nothing but absolute brute strength, and of course Chaos as of late has become unpinnable. For some reason people just can't manage to do it, but can he break the pinnable streak on this event? It's a very strong yes. So that might be my winner. I think we may see Chaos get pinned, but if not, then Astroth really needs to rethink his direction of where he's going in this company. When we move into season 2, he's gonna, because he can't keep focus. And just ask Tommy Dreamer trying to pin Raven. It's like sometimes you just need to know when to quit. And Astroth will need to swallow his pride if he doesn't win this match. So I've got a feeling, knowing the person he is and the character he is, that he won't want to do that. So he's going to pull out all the stops I predict, and we may see Chaos get pinned. But it is going to be a heck of a task to do. And that's my take on that, basically.
Alright then. We'll see what the votes for our people viewing this on the premiere are now. And we'll see if people agree with you. But moving on, because obviously we won't be able to see what the results are, because this isn't live.
No, unfortunately it isn't, no. I would like to see live results, but hey.
Well, I'll be able to see live results. I will technically be there in spirit, let's call it.
Alright, cool.
And so, moving on anyway, with our Bash of the Brands card, let's talk about Tikal versus Rouge, our one of 2 women's matches scheduled for the show. I've suddenly just forgotten completely about this one.
Don't worry, it happens to the best of us.
So, Rouge came back, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Okay, I've got that bit. So, Rouge came back, and obviously she's now been rebelling against the whole Peach's Cabinet thing. She used to be teaming up with Samus to be a tag team and to defend the current women's champion, Princess Peach, who's been cheating her way to the title, but that's another story for later. But obviously now Tikal, ever since Mascot Mania with the, what shall we call it, the infamous eye poke of doom.
I think that you can pretty much compare and call it that, yes.
So, yeah, it was an elimination match for the Women's Championship, and it was Lisa and Amy and Tikal and Peach. They were in a fatal 4-way elimination match, and Lisa got eliminated and Amy got eliminated, and then when we came down to Tikal and Peach, there was already dissension after the first elimination on whose side she was on, but we were just assuming, hey, maybe, just maybe, Tikal's doing this to get her hands on the Women's Championship, because she really has been a kind of lackey person for anyone. She used to be a lackey for Cream, which is the former Women's Champion. She seems to be a bit of a gold digger. I hate to say it, but I'm going to use that term for her. And now she's with Princess Peach, but Rouge has come back to show her the error of her ways by saying, you're on completely the wrong side. You don't want to be teaming up with Princess Peach, because in the end, it's only going to be her that's going to benefit from anything. So, maybe you'd like to elaborate on that, Dr. Eggman?
Yeah. So, this is a match all about loyalties, I feel like. Rouge has been there and done that now, and the only person she's looking out for is herself. This may be a SmackDown versus Raw show, but this one, like I said, it's not. It's more on a personal level of, like, they have a shared history now, Rouge and Tikal, of being with Princess Peach, being by her side, and Rouge has had the experience of what it's like, and she knows well that Tikal is doing the wrong here. So that's why we've got this match here. Tikal is being very loyal, as we mentioned, the infamous eye poke of doom. It was one eye poke, and then Princess Peach pinned Tikal and retained the women's championship at Mascot Mania. And we've never stopped talking about it since. And Tikal has shown her true colors once again and found someone to follow, let's say. But again, is it the right person to follow? Rouge begs to differ. Yeah, that's what this match just comes down to. But in terms of technique and what these two can do, Rouge is going to have to pull out a lot to pin Tikal, because I'm not going to put Tikal down at all. She's got skills, and she's, we don't talk about this a lot, but she's kind of like a semi-submission expert. Like, I've seen her pull off some submissions, and I've never seen Rouge survive very well when it comes to submissions. She's definitely more of a striker sort of fighter, more like a, what would you call it?
Oh, it's like a kickboxer. She uses her legs a lot.
Yeah, that's the one. She's a kickboxer. Uses her legs a lot. Yeah, Tikal might maybe use the submission game to go after Rouge. And also Tikal is very resilient. Like, it's rare that I've ever seen her get defeated very much. Maybe as of late, because the tides have turned. She's lost a lot to Mandy, but that's Mandy we're talking about here. But yeah, I feel like ever since she's been with Peach, her stock, let's say, has gone down and declined, and it's not looking good. It's looking more better for Princess Peach than it is for her, which is a shame, because Tikal is extremely talented, and we know how we don't like to misuse our talent, being the wrestling show, whereas the anti-heroes are more of the sports entertainment side of things, wasting their talent and not pushing them when they need it. You know, because I can predict Tikal being a future women's champion if she stops this train of supporting someone else.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
So yeah, so this is what needs to go down. But Tikal at the same time, so Tikal's technique to win this is the submission game, and also she might be able to put up with some resistance as well. She does a lot of meditation, I know this, backstage, and a lot of, like, she readies her mind for every match that she goes in. So she'll be ready for this one. But Rouge is looking very good coming back. But this is a very close one to call, oddly enough. I can't really pronounce a winner. But for the purposes of bias, I think I've got to, come up with something. So I will say Rouge is the winner for this match.
Rouge.
Yeah, but it's going to be a heck of a task. But I feel like she's got the momentum, and she's got the willpower to say, hey, you're on the wrong side, and you should be doing much better things with your career here in the ASF. And I'm going to show you that, because Rouge is coming in with all guns blazing, and I feel like that's going to pull it off.
Alright then, we will see. And now the Premier live feed will have its results as well. But in the meantime, let's get back into the swing of things with our first championship match.
Ooh.
Yes, indeed. Because it is, let's talk about Nightmare versus Link, and it is for the Hardcore Championship at Bash of the Brands. This match came about, it's been one in the making for a little while. Nightmare, he's been on the anti-heroes side for the longest time, and ever since he's joined, he's really been, they've been benefiting from him quite a bit. Nightmare's been a constant pain in people's sides, I think I will say. Mostly interfering in being infamous for interfering in ladder matches in particular, which is causing the anti-heroes to win, specifically Tails. But he's been a loyal soldier for sure for the anti-heroes and believes in their cause, and just is really supportive of them for X reasons, but he has been crowned the hardcore champion ever since Grimm got fired on SmackDown for not wanting to join the anti-heroes. So the title was relinquished and handed to Nightmare, and he hasn't defended it since. And Mr. Akai said if he does defend it, it will be under a standard rules because Nightmare, quote unquote, is a weapon. I'm sure you can elaborate because I'm talking too much now. I'll let you take over.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'd like to do that. All right, yeah. So Nightmare has been described by the chairman as a walking weapon, and he didn't. He proclaimed that he didn't need a weapon to get a victory or to beat anyone up because he is the weapon. And Link, on the other side, has been described as the secret weapon for what used to be the Freedom Movement. They are no longer here. But now he's Raw's secret weapon, even though I don't like to call him that, but it's kind of got a good ring to it. He's the ASF's secret weapon, and that is Link. So they've both been referred to as weapons, so it would only make sense for these two to have a hardcore championship match. That's just the best coincidence, and I love that fact, to be honest, on a personal level. But Nightmare has, since that point, been using weapons to get the advantage. So I've made this match purely out of that, and I've made it under hardcore rules. So there will be no disqualifications or countouts, and falls count anywhere.
And anywhere means anywhere.
Yeah, it means anywhere. And also, as you say, this has been a match in the making. Nightmare's been a thorn in the side. And one of the matches that he got involved in was at the one at Mascot Rumble, in that ladder match against when Link was facing Tails. And if Link didn't win the match, then the Freedom Movement at that time would not be allowed to have a championship match against Tails after that point.
Which would be a disaster, but it did happen.
Yeah. And then the whole Money in the Bank thing with Metal Sonic and Manic took fold, and then etc. etc. That's another story for another day. But fundamentally, Nightmare ended the ability for momentarily before the plans went haywire, and Metal Sonic was feeling pretty generous because he'd already got his championship match at Mascot Mania. He didn't need the Money in the Bank, and he realized that Manic did. But again, another story for another time. But Link was obviously not happy. They've had matches in the past. They've had feuds in the past. But they're not strangers to each other. So I'm looking forward to actually an action-packed match with the hardcore rules these guys are going to be involved in. And if Nightmare uses a weapon, then he's been a liar all along. But both of these guys are well-versed in this kind of matchup, so can Nightmare prove his worth being crowned hardcore champion, or are we going to crown a new one? And I would actually love it to be Link. To the point where I want it to be Link. Call it bias again. But I feel like Nightmare's been underwhelming in terms of performance, of what he can actually do, truly. But when it comes to weapons, again, he's an expert at it. But he's been on a rampage either way, with or without weapons. But he has been using them more, even though it's been stated he doesn't need them. So I'm just questioning his motives. That's all. But I certainly am looking forward to this match. This one's going to be definitely high up on the card here. It's going to be an absolutely amazing show between these two. They have that blood feud and that history with each other. So it's going to be quite something. And these two are finally going to be in the ring after a long time. And we're going to get to see it and watch it and be amazed with the hardcore rules in play.
So your prediction is Link is going to win?
Yes. I believe we're going to have a new hardcore champion. Because Link is just I don't think you can keep him down. He's been that. He needs to win a championship. He came really close at Mascot Mania in that 4-way for the hardcore title. But yeah, with him 1-on-1 against Nightmare, we could definitely see a new champion. And that's who I'm pulling for. And that's who I'm saying is going to win a win. Winner.
Yeah, nice one. Alright then. We will get the results now for that match in the Premier Live Chat. And we will move on to another big, high-profile match. Or at least I think the chairman would like to say that. But it is, let's talk about Bomberman versus Knuckles. Yeah, no, he would call that a high-profile match. He wants this to be a high-profile match. I believe this is going to be a very one-sided affair, for sure. But go on, you do your thing. Okay, so, yeah, Knuckles, as we know, is a former world champion. Lost it recently, but he's been doing a heck of a job to retain it. He won it with Money in the Bank at Survivor Series. He went through a Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. He went through another Hell in a Cell match, technically, at the ASIF. That was thanks to the fans. Knuckles must really dislike Hell in a Cell, I feel, if he's gone through 2 of them, just to keep his belt, even though he didn't keep it there, but hey, that's another story for another time, isn't it, Eggman?
Yeah, we won't talk about that incident anymore, and anyone who does will be punished severely. So button it up, you.
Okay, don't worry about it. We won't mention a word of what happened there, but yeah, Knuckles gained it back afterwards, and then he faced Bomberman at the Mascot Rumble, where the odds were stacked in Bomberman's favor, and Bomberman couldn't quite pull it off.
He had the right strategy, but Knuckles was still able to beat him, even though the odds were stacked into Bomberman's favor. And this is when he was liked by the fans before he turned his back on the fans to join the anti-heroes. And then Bomberman was involved in just a little 6-man tag match at Mascot Mania. Well, I call it little, but technically compared to the rest of the card, it was not the biggest match ever on that list. It was definitely kind of like a filler. So I've been saying it since the beginning, is Bomberman is not main event level material yet. We've seen this, and I don't mean that in a negative aspect. Let me explain this, okay? So I believe that in a professional wrestling environment, that you can't just suddenly give someone the rocket, if you know what I mean. You can't shoot them through the glass ceiling. You can't force their hands to grab the brass ring. They have to do that themselves. I know that's a Vince McMahon line, and many people go, ugh. But it's true. It's like you suddenly just can't give someone that. And here in the ASF, I'm all up for, we've been pushing stars. We've had to do it on SmackDown ever since the brand split, because we had a bunch of main eventers move over to Raw. So the main event picture there was looking great, but when it came to SmackDown, we had Bart and we had Astroth. No one else was in that template of main event. And now look who's in the main event. Since that point, we've now got Bart, we've now got Astroth, we've now got Tails, we've now got Manic, we've now got a multitude of people. We've now got Link, we've now got Nightmare, technically. From a standpoint, they're all main event now when they didn't used to be. So we've done our work, and they've done their work. We've done our homework. You can't just suddenly do the sports entertainment route and say, right, we're going to put Bomberman, who was in this small feud, in this 6-man tag, teaming up with Wario and Billy, to suddenly main event status in an instant. And, any company that has done that clearly doesn't know what they're doing. They can't just stick someone in the main event. They've got to work for it. And so far, what I've seen is Bomberman has just been entitled to all of this, thanks to the chairman, after joining the anti-heroes. he's just been put on a pedestal that he, quite frankly, doesn't deserve to be on yet. But, he will get there, but he needs to be stopped putting in these high-profile matches to begin with. Knuckles is a main event performer and competitor, and he's gonna have Bomberman for breakfast, I believe, in this match. It's gonna be really hard for Bomberman to mount any offense. He's just become very big-headed, let's say, going into this. So I believe this is going to be a really one-sided affair, if you want to call me that. But yeah, some people might say Knuckles got thrusted into the main event. I'm like, bitch, please, to lack of a better term here. Fucking, we have been building Knuckles this whole season to be in the main event. He won the King of the Ring. He won the Money in the Bank. He retained the Money in the Bank in certain matches. We put him in high-profile feuds and matches after that. He won it at Survivor Series after cashing in. He won it in Hell in a Cell. He retained it many times during that. He retained it against Bomberman. We were all pulling for him at the time. Like I said, Bomberman was the fan favorite because he was the underdog, and everyone likes an underdog. But if you're going to suddenly accelerate him into the main event, that's not going to be the way to do it. And I feel like this is just another victory waiting in the feather, waiting in the cap to go into Knuckles. So yeah, as for a winner, it's going to be Knuckles. I'm calling it. There we go. I've said my thing.
Okay then. Well, I believe a lot of people will be behind you on that philosophy of you can't just suddenly stick someone in the main event and expect them to deliver or whatever. So we all have to see, but you're quite right. Bomberman might have eaten more than he can chew here on this match. But we'll see now what the Premier Live Feed thinks of that verdict. I'm very curious to see on that one myself personally. So we'll see. Do you think Bomberman is actually going to overcome Knuckles in this match and cement himself? Or do you think Knuckles is going to put Bomberman in his place once and for all and shut the anti-heroes and the sports entertainment side of things up? Yeah. But shall we move on?
Let's do that. We haven't got time to burn.
Yes. So let's carry on. Our next match is another big one. We got some really big matches for this card, and this one might fall under your category of extremely personal. Again, because let's talk about the tables, ladders, and chairs match for the Intercontinental Championship between Shadow and Aki. And the way this match came about was Shadow lost the Intercontinental title at the Mascot Mania event in a triple threat match against Aki. Then I'm even going to get involved in this, but I'm going to try and show professionalism and whatever, because I don't want to get sacked by anyone, but Shadow afterwards, we had a post-match interview, because I feel like Shadow scheduled that time with me beforehand. He said, after the match, I want to have a post-match interview so that you can talk to me about my victory. That's literally his words. But we still had the interview. Not that it was much of an interview, because he punched me right in the face. And obviously Aki has taken that personally, and he sticks up for me. He's the best brother I could ever ask for. So that he was just defending me, and that's all it came down to. And it's gone from that. Shadow, all he needed to do was apologize. Just man it out. Just say that you did wrong that night, and be the better guy. But he didn't want to, and he's been punishing Aki for the actions of he actually pinned Shadow, so he doesn't have any excuse either of being the Intercontinental Champion, because he actually pinned him, and that was twice because they had a rematch, didn't they? Raw to the Max, the one night only show. We did a triple threat rematch, and he still pinned Shadow as the result of that match. But I will let you take it from here.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad you didn't get too emotional there. But yeah, well done for you. But in terms of this match in particular, obviously it's going to be a heck of a match, I feel. Shadow is known for, deep down inside, I still think he wants to put on a good show in this match as well as win the Intercontinental Championship, but it is going to be ugly. It's going to be a more ugly show than what it was what we saw at the ASIF when he had a TLC match against Chaos. It's definitely going to be more ugly on that front, I feel. Because, like I said, these two have got it personal ever since they had their match, and it was Shadow playing the mind games with Aki. We were talking about, Aki having a fear of, vehicles in general, or bikes, and what does Shadow come down in on? So Aki overcame the odds at the Mascot Mania and won the Intercontinental title, and then we were off to the races because Aki couldn't stop the momentum after that. He's been a really good Intercontinental Champion from that point, defending it against Metal Knuckles one-on-one, even defending it against Shadow one-on-one, and still couldn't quite pull it off. He's been a really good champion, and I feel like he will be able to defend his title as long as he doesn't. This is again another Scourge situation. Don't let his emotions run high, but he's got implements of destruction to use. The TLC match might be Shadow's favorable match because he's never lost one. Aki can use those weapons to his advantage to take out that rage and frustration for what he did to you and to shut Shadow down basically for good and to say, look, you lost, move on, I'm the Intercontinental Champion. And as big as that may make him sound, we need someone to shut Shadow up. He was a great Intercontinental Champion. I still say he is one of the best Intercontinental Champions we've had, but he just got beaten by someone better at the end of the day. And that's what it comes down to, is, once your time is up, you move on and you get better again and you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you go after, and then you're ready again. But Shadow has taken the personal route. He's attacked you. He's attacked Aki on countless occasions, even busting him open, going as far as that. Then joining the anti-heroes because of the whole deal that the chairman made to him. Like, if you join us, we'll give you what you want. As long as you supply us with some backup. And he has. But his sole solemn goal for joining the anti-heroes, because he actually said to me in the back at one point, I am never going to join them, like ever, regardless of what bait they hang on the hook for me. I'm not falling for it. But eventually, he just cracked, and but he cracked because he wants that Intercontinental Championship back that badly, that he's willing to go to those lengths just to get it. So it's not just personal, it's definitely all about the championship. I've never seen a rivalry that's this intense, and at the same time, you can ignore that rivalry and say, this is all about the title. This is all about the Intercontinental Championship. Aki wants to keep a hold of it. He's very happy being Intercontinental Champion. He wants to keep it. And Shadow just really wants it back to the point where he will do literally anything. And we've seen him do that. The whole apology thing has escalated to now where anything that he does to Aki, he will quote-unquote apologize for. But in a more sadistic way, shall we say. So this match is going to be ugly, but it's also going to be fun to watch. It's a TLC match, and usually they do go down pretty good here in the ASF. So you're in for a treat. I've got a feeling, guys. Hyped for this one. Um, but as for a winner for this one, ooh, that's debatable. I mean, either one of these two could come out with a victory, and I don't want to show bias again, but this is Shadow's match. But I feel like Aki has enough drive. He's seen what Shadow can do. He's beaten him twice. He can beat him a third time. It's that whole thing, again, though, with Astaroth and Chaos, with the experience. It's like, how do you gain knowledge over someone that you've already beaten? Whereas Shadow now knows how much, what he needs to do to win, and the TLC match is also going to benefit that. But this is a very, I'm going to say, there's a 60% chance that Aki's going to win and a 40% chance that Shadow's going to win. That's how I'm putting this, but I'm favoring Aki more because I feel like when it comes down to the championship, that he has a stronger bond to keep it than Shadow. But I could be wrong, you never know. Anything can happen. So it's up for debate. This one's a real head scratcher when it comes to who's gonna actually win it. I feel, but we'll see what the was it Premier Live feed?
Yeah, the Premier Live feed. We'll see what they think. Do they think Aki is gonna retain the Intercontinental Championship, or do they think Shadow will gain it back with the benefits of TLC? We will find out on the live chat, or you can even leave, as I said, comments down below, whatever you feel, and give some insight to each match if you feel as well. All is welcome, and I'm sure that me personally will be able to reply back in some capacity, and we can talk about it. It's going to be fun.
That's what we're doing this for.
Exactly. Alright, though, moving on to our next championship match, and let's talk about the ASF Women's Championship. It is the champion Princess Peach going up against a very formidable number one contender in Mandy. And the whole reason this match came about is quite simply Mandy won a number one contenders. What was it? It was an elimination table match, of all things, and she earned that number one contendership. And Princess Peach has been trying to, let's say, avoid her at all costs. Princess Peach first came into this company with the disgust of the Grimm Alliance, which of course was Grimm and Mandy and Billy, although the feud was more on the SmackDown side, while Mandy was over here carving on her way through the industry, let's call it. Princess Peach came along to get rid of Grimm and Billy and the Grimm Alliance, and Mandy is kind of like, in essence, still a part of that faction, but of course they haven't crossed paths up until now. But I feel like out of all the members of the Grimm Alliance, that Mandy is probably one of the most formidable. So ever since Mandy won the number one contendership, Princess Peach has been trying a lot to hinder Mandy's ability, let's say, and momentum going into this match. And you can take it from there, I suppose.
All right. Well, yeah. Peach has been avoiding defending the women's championship, but we finally come up to Match of the Brands, and I've put my foot down and I've said, defend it now because it's a Raw championship being held on SmackDown, and we would like it back, thank you very much. And you know what? You're going to get Mandy as the number one contender to take it from you. This match can go one of two ways, the way I look at it, when these two finally actually clash. Because Peach is going to use every trick in the book to try and keep hold of the Women's Championship, if she hasn't already. We saw what happened at Mascot Mania, as again we mentioned the eye poke of doom to Cal, just to retain the title. But she's been using Tikal, and she's been using a few other resources from the anti-heroes that she has to cripple Mandy. but it doesn't seem to have worked too much. Because, as we say, Mandy's I know first and foremost hand that Mandy's a tough son of a bitch. So this could either, as I said, one way or the other. It's either Princess Peach is going to win this match, and it's going to be by, it's going to be the steal of the century, and she's going to keep it on SmackDown, or Mandy is going to just ignore, shall we say, in her own way, all of the prevention tricks, and, to stop Peach from doing what she does. And just completely, pretty much obliterate Peach. I feel like this is an extremely one-sided match. Peach does not have the match experience as compared to a Mandy or anyone on the women's roster, because Princess Peach, as we pointed out, debuted at No Mercy, and she's been more of a manager role than as a performer in the ring. So I feel like, when it comes down to the match experience, it's like Mandy's gonna absolutely cream her, like, for lack of a better term. But, like, she's gonna just destroy her unless Princess Peach does something on that front. And it's gonna be just ugly. Not maybe TLC ugly or anything like that, but this is gonna be more one-sided than Knuckles and Bomberman. Yeah, because at least Bomberman can fight. He's got the ring experience. He's savvy about it. He won't be able to take out Knuckles, but we've already talked about that. But this is going to be extremely one-sided unless Peach has a brilliant master plan to defend the Women's Championship. So if you're already looking for a winner, you already know it. As much as I, have a history with Mandy, and she's done some terrible things on my end that are still personal, and I don't like her for that, which is why we haven't seen eye to eye since. I still feel like, Mandy's just an unstoppable animal when it comes to any of the women here in the ASF. So Mandy's a clear-cut winner for this for me, but unless Peach produces something that can overcome. But so far, she hasn't managed to. So I'm just going to say Mandy's going to be women's champion. She's going to bring it back to Raw again, and she's going to be a champion again. But she's going to win for the fans. I want to say she's going to bring back the right championship. She's not going to win the world title or the YouTube. She's going to be women's champion. And God, if she does, then that's going to be an interesting to see who's going to take it from her. But I really do think this is a definite Mandy win. Clear cut. Alright. Well, we will see again in the Premier Live feed what fans think. Do you think Princess Peach is going to be able to pull out all the stops and manipulation and a benefactor from the anti-heroes to win this match? Or is the brute force of Mandy just going to plow through it and win the Women's Championship? We will see the results right now. But moving on, we've got 3 matches left here to discuss, and they're all the pretty, what I would class, the big ones, the very big ones. But first off, let's talk about the most recently added match, if you can call it that, because let's talk about the unsanctioned match, and this is going to be between the chairman, Mr. AKI, and Manic, who has quote-unquote returned, but he's not actually officially signed with the company because of the contract stipulation for Mascot Mania was anyone who loses, the person who does lose is not going to be able to be employed, and the chairman has ensured that that's happened. So Manic is not officially with us here in the ASF, which is why the only way we can set up this match is if we make it an unsanctioned match, and Manic made it himself, in fact, and it's actually pretty deserving. This whole match came about because of the fact that the chairman cost Manic the YouTube Championship at Mascot Mania, with the infamous words,
there are safety in numbers, but there are winners in the anti-heroes. And then he hit you over the head with a chair, and then the rest was history. Excuse me a second. Oh, let me get me adjusted in my seat. Yeah. So, and Mr. AKI has shown his true colors about what he thinks about us and the ASF as a whole. He wants to take it in a new direction, in a sports entertainment direction. And Manic has been fighting for the majority of his time on SmackDown to prevent that kind of thing from happening, because the anti-heroes were slowly starting to manipulate and get what they wanted, which was pretty much everything, by hook or by crook. They weren't getting it through, being good, shall we say. But yeah, it's how they Tails become YouTube champion in the first place, way back at No Way Out. And he's been champion ever since, thanks to the manipulation of the anti-heroes, and that's what Manic was trying to stop. And now he's going straight for the heart, I believe, because we discovered that Mr. AK has been the spy for the anti-heroes, like, almost since the get-go. So they've always had the advantage when it comes to the strings being pulled backstage politically. This is extremely sports entertainment versus pro wrestling, this match. I know our main event is supposed to be stressing that, and it is, but this match just further increases that statement of, Manic is for professional wrestling, earn the right to be in the main event, and to get the spot, and to win the championship, and whatever. It's all in the good spirit of competition, whereas the sports entertainment side for Mr. AKI is more like pulling backstage strings and, putting Tails in the main event and making him win the belt and blah, 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 and benefits, and not giving anyone else a chance. And if they do give people a chance, as we've mentioned with Bomberman, then, it's at the wrong time. Anyway, I'll let you elaborate.
Yes, hello.
You are here still.
I'm here still, yay. Alright, I totally agree with those statements. I'm glad you brought those up. Thank you for that. But yeah, the chairman, his idea that the ASF should be going in a more sports entertainment oriented direction, and basically, if you're friends with him and he likes you, he's going to put you at the forefront. And I know for a fact he's a big Bomberman fan, and I know for a fact he's a big Tails fan, so no wonder they're being pushed to the moon. Bomberman almost won the world championship. That's what he promised him. Didn't work quite out that way. But yeah, he's put Bomberman on a pedestal that he doesn't need to, as we pointed out. But it's an ugly way to run your business. I always feel that you should earn it rather than be given it. Like I said, I'm all up for, like, if the build is right, then the person is right, then go for it. But if it's not, then work on it until something sticks. And that's what Manic has been trying to achieve with the freedom movement back then, and with this match for sure. But I feel like this match is also more on the personal front, for sure. Because, as you said, the chairman did cost Manic the not only the championship, but his job here. And as said, he's not employed. And that's why we're having this as an unsanctioned match, but it's just because I feel like the chairman needs to be definitely heavily punished, and I got a feeling Manic is going to be the one to dish it out. He's a street fighter at heart, and this match will be right up his alley. In terms of I need to address, maybe, actually, before we go on, how we run an unsanctioned match here in the ASF, because it's very different. And usually when they say unsanctioned match, there's usually a referee, and he will count a pin of some description. and that will end the match. That's not how we do unsanctioned matches here, guys. We already had one unsanctioned match between, I believe it was Shadow and Sonic, and that ended really under weird circumstances. I think when there was a Hell in a Cell in the arena and it lowered, and then Chaos came out and put Shadow through it, and we had to call it off. But yeah, that's proof that anything can happen here in the ASF because that happened. So that's why I love this. We can just do whatever we want and have fun with it as long as it makes sense and combinates to something afterwards. Then we can really just do anything, and that's what Manic enjoys, being able to be spontaneous and just to do anything that he feels like doing and doing the right thing at the end of the day, first and foremost, though. But this unsanctioned match isn't going to end with a pinfall or a submission or anything of that descript. The other person is either going to have to be incapacitated to the point where they can't move, and technically by knockout, or if they say that they surrender, they quit. So, I can't see Manic saying that or doing that and being passed out by the chairman. As tough as the chairman is, I know that he is tough, but he's definitely no match for any of our performers. Again, this might be a one-sided affair, but don't get me wrong, I don't think the chairman's going to easily quit against someone that he really hates, and he doesn't like Manic at all. Especially ever since this incident where Manic came back on SmackDown. And he's got that ego and that presence about him that's going to make him not say that he quits very easily. So Manic is going to have to dish out the punishment, but it's going to be a lot of punishment, hopefully, before the chairman gives up. But if you want me to give a winner, it's going to be Manic.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I think I've said everything. You've said most of the stuff, but I've backed it up, and I definitely wholly endorse what you say. Manic is all about playing it fair, playing it right, but also having fun along the way and doing things interestingly, whereas the anti-heroes play it by the book, push the wrong people at the wrong time with the wrong skill sets, and, that's what this match is all about, basically, but also about definitely redemption and revenge for what happened at Mascot Mania. Manic is doing this for revenge for the fans for what they had to experience at the end of Mascot Mania with the whole YouTube Championship ordeal. So, yeah, that's what it's going to come down to, and that's what I feel like is going to happen. But definitely Manic is going to win.
Well, we will see what the verdict lies with this very personal matchup here on the live feed chat from the premiere, or indeed still in the comments below. Do leave comments if you haven't made it here for the premiere. But otherwise, whatever you deem fit, please do leave your thoughts and opinions and possible winners for all the matches that we've been talking about. We've still got 2 more matches though, it's not over yet. So let's move right along now for the next big championship match, which is the Tag Team Championship match. It is Dimension X, the champions, facing the Dream Team of Sonic and Mario. It's definitely going to be a blockbuster of a match, but let's talk about how this came about. So, as we've been pointing out, the anti-heroes have been running riot, and it seems like Dimension X have been the hitmen for Tails. Void is the second in command, as we know. If Tails were out of action, Void would take over. I don't know where the chairman sits in all of this, but I guess he's just the one to, I guess he's just the leader of the whole thing in general, but Tails is the one to lead the troops, and then Void would be second in command. And because he was technically, him and Marzel were the first members of the anti-heroes to join and form that group, so it would only make sense. But yeah, they've been the hitmen, and they've attempted to take out both Mario and Sonic because the chairman wanted to minimize the numbers of main eventers, let's call it. Take out two icons here in the ASF, but it's come back to bite them because as much as we would like to say that Sonic, they attempted to break his neck, and they thought they did.
I thought they did.
Yeah, they tried to, and then we kind of like, Sonic was like, they haven't actually broken it, it's fine, and, I can come back, but I'm gonna sit back first and let them plan their next move to see what they do next. It's been a brilliant plan on the Raw side, so I have to give you credit for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we tried to keep it a big hush-hush. But unfortunately, it did result. We thought Mario would survive because Dimension X didn't know what they were doing when it came to that spike pile driver in the corner. But unfortunately, they perfected it. Not so much that it was a career ending, but certainly they have broken Mario's neck in some capacity. But it's a miracle he's able to come back this early, because we thought that was it. And he's formed this alliance with Sonic, and now we've got this, as we call it, Dream Team, and they're going to go after the Tag Team Championships. And I feel like Dimension X, as much as impressive as they are, that they might have eaten more than they can chew, but I want to obviously get an expert opinion on this, so take it away, Dr. Eggman.
Hello again. I'm the expert, apparently.
Yeah, come on, you start spilling.
Yeah, no, there's a few things I've constantly been thinking about. This, again, could be another extremely big 50-50 toss. People are probably thinking the Dream Team, Sonic and Mario, they're iconic. Between them, they have about 12 world titles, with Sonic being a 9-time world champion. So, they've been there, they've been at the top, but Dimension X are calling them quote-unquote has-beens, and their time has passed, and now it's time for Dimension X to rise. And I don't actually fault them for that, because Dimension X, every time, since teaming up and won the tag team titles, they've always been at the weak end of the straw. Is that the term?
I don't know, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, so they've always been at the short end of the stick. I think that's the more appropriate term, or whatever. Everyone's been assuming that Dimension X, when it comes to defending their tag team titles next, are going to lose them. Because these are two just random guys that we put together, but they've actually formed a really cohesive bond. And, they're closer than many brothers. When it comes to the tag team championships, and they've defended them every time, even when the odds have been stacked in the past against them. I can already instantly recall, they won them through a suddenly announced ladder match at No Mercy, way back at No Mercy. They suddenly found out they were in a ladder match, but they pulled it through against the tag champions of the time, which were Homer and Lisa. So they pulled through on that front, and then, they didn't win a Survivor Series, but hey, the tag team titles weren't defended then. They weren't on the line, so it didn't matter. Whenever the titles are on the line for Dimension X, they will pull through. So, I don't want to say it or jinx it yet, but we'll see. Because I want to talk about everything else that they've accomplished. We put them in a what was it? A sort of like a tag team turmoil match at No Way Out against 3 teams from the Freedom Movement at the time, and they came in first. They were the first, and they had to go through, which means they would have had to go through all of the 3 other tag teams to win, and they did. And then we put them in a match at ASIF with, they didn't know who they would be facing out of Link, Manic, and Astroth, but they ended up facing Manic and Astroth a tag team, and Astros, as we pointed out, is an animal enough, and they managed to take him out. They managed to beat him, and then they managed to put him on the shelf very briefly, if you remember that, before Mascot Mania, before Mascot Rumble even. They managed to put him out of action. So, they can deliver when they need to against the very best. They've beaten a who's who of talent since winning the tag team titles. So it wouldn't put it past me to say that might be just possibly they could beat Mario and Sonic, because, as we know now, Mario is going in with an injury. He has got a chip on one of his discs. That's what the damage has been done from that spike pile driver. And I have actually seen, Mario's shown me, he's actually got a piece of, well, I call it handy dandy equipment, but it is a very interesting thing, so that he can perform with the broken neck or with that fracture. He's actually got like this thing. I don't know, but what best to describe it as, but it's like a safety thing on the back of his neck, so that he can't move his neck, but he can still move the rest of himself around without being immobilized. It's just stabilizing his neck completely from the back, so he can perform with it. And I've seen him in it, and as bad as it sounds, I don't want him to get any more injured from this match, but it may be inevitable because of what the damage that was done. He was put in a match with Void, who's a submission expert, on SmackDown quite recently, and he did come out with a victory, but Mario and Sonic can win all the singles matches they want, but when it comes to tag team matches, they've had tag team experience, not gonna lie, but when it comes to Dimension X, how much of a bond does Sonic and Mario have? And speaking of Sonic, actually, I forgot to point that out, is he's also going in with a brand new made injury, because the minute he came down to stop Mario from getting another spike pile driver on SmackDown, he came down to make the save, but in doing so sacrificed himself, and Dimension X completely, pretty much destroyed his legs. And as we know, that's one of Sonic's higher qualities, is his speed and maneuverability, and Dimension X have essentially taken that away, and Sonic may be going in with an injured leg. I don't know the full details on that one, but he's definitely going into both of these people on the Dream Team. It's going to be a great moment, because these two have never teamed up before, and who would have thought it after all this time. And what do I call it? ASF Complete History?
Yes, ASF Complete History. They've never been a tag team. They've always been bitter rivals, but they put that aside for the anti-hero cause, let's say, to stop them and Dimension X. But the injuries may outdo them. But I'm not going to put Mario and Sonic down. Either way, they fought through injuries before. Maybe not an injured neck per se, but we don't know Mario. And Sonic, I'm sure, has suffered a few knee injuries, and he's suffering from one now. But it's like I said, it's a new injury. It's not one that's been lingering for a while. It's a brand, and it takes a little bit of getting used to once you initially break or dislocate something. I know that from experience, trust me. So, Sonic's coming off of an injury that's brand spanking new and got the Dimension X seal of approval on it. And so Dimension X have not only the ability to be a good tag team, as they always have been when defending their titles in this match, but they've got two distinct targets. With Mario, it's the neck, and with Sonic, it is the legs, the knees, to be specific. But we'll have to see at Bash the Brands what the condition is of both of them. But I know Mario will be going into that match with the target on the back of his neck, with that apparatus that he's got on to help support it. And odds are Sonic is going to be in some kind of like bandage or cast around his knee, inevitably, which is going to really
hinder the mobility of him and the performance thus of him as well. But again, this is another big toss-up. It's too close to call, and I can't believe I'm saying this. If Mario and Sonic were going into this 100% with no problems with their bodies per se, I would say that they were probably going to win because they've been in high-profile matches time and time again and pulled through, and they're icons for a reason. Just in general, as well as the ASF. Speaking out of kayfabe, I'm not exactly a follower of video games, ironically enough, but I obviously know a Mario and a Sonic. They've become, icons just in the things that they are, but also here in the ASF, and I acknowledge that. And so they can pull through with this. Going back to kayfabe.
You okay?
Yeah, just I'm gonna readjust myself and get back into storyline mode. Sorry, guys, but yeah, it's a close one to call. Dimension X know what they're doing, and if they do it right, they could put themselves on the pedestal and say we're the new generation here, and look out for us because now no one can beat us. We are an unstoppable tag team, and we're gonna cement our position as that, so no one else can top us in the future, regardless of what they do. Because Dimension X, we just took two random individuals that didn't have any direction. They've made something out of it, and they may be on the enemy side talking from me being on Raw and they're being on SmackDown, but they've really earned it. And the exact opposite of Bomberman is they've left their mark on the tag team division as well as on singles competitors of a high level. So I'm not putting this down, but I'm guessing you still want to squeeze a winner out of me here for this one.
Yes, I do. So give me one. We'll let the I'll give you time to think. We'll let the Premier live chat see what they think. Do you think the Dream Team are going to pull off the Dream victory and actually dethrone Dimension X from the Tag Team Championships, or do you think Dimension X can actually pull this off thanks to an injured team that they're facing because they are that good in the ring? Can they be dethroned or not? Let's find out right now on that front. But now I want an answer from you.
Shit. Dang, this one's hard. What do I say? Okay, we can do a Shadow versus Aki here, but this is an even smaller percentage. I'm gonna say Dimension X are gonna win, but I'm gonna say it's a 55% chance, not a 60%.
So that means 45 for the Dream Team?
Yes. So it's a much more smaller percentage. That's how close this has to be, but I'm slightly leaning more in the direction of Dimension X for sure. So don't be shocked if they do win, because like I said, it's those lingering conditions that Sonic and Mario are in. But if they can pull through, and I'm sure they can, which is why this is hard to call, I'm sure they can pull through. If they do, we got new tag champions, and that'll be great because that's Sonic and Mario as a tag team then, and they've finally been able to dethrone the tag team champions, and they've been holding on to those for a while. It would be a great moment for sure, not only for them to see them team up, but to see them win the tag titles, and also see them dethrone one of the most dominant tag teams we've had here in the ASF, bar none. That's how big Dimension X had become. But I'm bleeding more on the side, so to set up for disappointment, because I really feel like, as you know, if they do win, I don't want to call it an upset because they are that good now at this point. But I think in a lot of the fans' eyes, it will be a disappointment. It will be an upset victory, but again, I don't know. It's a really big. That's another big debate to go over there. So let's move on.
Yes, let's move on, because time is pressing. We're still going, and we're an hour and 20 minutes into this, so let's wrap things up, because this would be usually the length of an episode of Raw or SmackDown. So, yeah, we've been talking for that long.
Well, we're used to it if we're been talking for that long, but we've got to get this main event out the way, I'm sure.
Yes, let's definitely do that. Let's talk about Tails and Metal Sonic doing battle for the, let's put it, the Undisputed Championship, and we need to describe, or you need to describe the conditions for that, by the way. So we won't discuss how this match came about, but we can. But I want you to talk more about it on this occasion. So please, take it away.
Alright, so, yeah, this is the main event. I don't think anyone else can be. This is one of the biggest matches of both these guys' careers. Metal Sonic is going in world champion, winning it at Mascot Mania, against a very formidable opponent in Knuckles, who was ready for him, and he still was able to beat him. And then we got Tails coming in at the other end with the YouTube title, you know, manipulating the system as we've been talking about, doing the whole sports entertainment gig, and I guess we'll call it, can I steal that? We can say systematic cheating, for sure.
Yeah, you can go with that. Sure. I love it. Go for it.
Alright, yeah, so that's the way Tails has been in power, but Sonic's got to give, obviously, in this main event. It's going to be a real interesting clash, but I know deep down that Tails has the skill for this. He's an incredible talent, and one that should not be underestimated. As we've seen on SmackDown, just the last episode there, he did, even if it took some time, and it was a tag team match, he was able to put away Metal Sonic in that main event, and not only that, but make him tap out to the ankle lock, because Tails is a submission expert. So, you know, he's more than capable. He's got the skills to actually win this match, but again, I don't want to be showing my bias here, but Metal Sonic is Metal Sonic, and he's been underestimated way too many times. He's been trying to fight to get the World Championship back, I think, since ever since Survivor Series, when he was in that big high-profile elimination match, where both competitors, or where the winning competitor would leave with the Intercontinental and the World title, and of course he would want that. Because Metal Sonic has too much pride for this industry and for this company in general. He loves it, and he loves representing it, and I don't find anything wrong in that at all, and I like that quality in him. But when it comes to this match, he's not going to lie down for it at all. You know, Tails has shown cowardice. Metal Sonic has definitely not. Knuckles Knuckles, I would like to point out, actually, I'm going to correct myself mid-sentence there before I go down the wrong route and say Knuckles did not underestimate Metal Sonic. He actually tried to learn a new submission move just to catch him out, because he knew that he couldn't get Metal Sonic down with an F5. And Metal Sonic was still able to obtain a victory even though he was not underestimated. So Metal Sonic, his moment was then, and he took it. And I feel like this match is going to be his moment again. Tails can prance around saying, I tapped out Metal, but maybe, I'm trying to put this in a positive light, because Metal Sonic may have tapped out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there never has been. People do make a big deal out of it when somebody taps out, but it's nothing. But I feel like this was part of a bigger plan because Metal's not a dumbass. I will say that. So hear me out with this one. But I think Metal Sonic tapped out in that match because he wants Tails in that mindset of I can beat this guy and I can make him tap out. And therefore, Tails is underestimating Metal Sonic going into this match. And this is clever manipulation by the world champion on this front. And I love it. If it is the case, if Tails beat him legit, then fair enough, but I don't know. But he hasn't told me anything about it. He's kept very hush-hush. But if I've detected this, he may have tapped out. I know his leg is banged up from that, because, like I said, Tails is a submission expert, but maybe Metal Sonic, I mean, he tapped out pretty darn quickly after that submission. That might have been from the wear and tear, or it might have just been to lull Tails into a false sense of security, saying, I'm going into this match, this high-profile match for the Undisputed Championship, and I'm going to win, because I'm going to make him tap out again, just like I did in SmackDown. That was also a tag team match. This is purely one-on-one. So Tails is going to have to, and I noticed Tails didn't get very heavily involved in that match, as much as he maybe should have. He let Bomberman do the brunt of the work, which was his tag team partner. So, I don't know, there's some game plan either going on here, or, Tails has actually made him tap out. But that's I doubt it, As mighty as Tails is with the submissions, Metal Sonic is tough as nails. No pun intended on that one. Yeah, I feel like Metal Sonic's got the master plan here, and it would suck if Tails is listening to this, and well, I don't think he is. I don't think he watches this show. So we're fine on that front. He's not interested in anything I've got to say, because he's probably going to be biased in his own right by saying, all of Raw's going to win either way, whatever. So he doesn't need to watch this, so I will safely say maybe this is a big plan by Metal Sonic, and if it is, then Tails is going to be going into this match with the wrong mindset, and therefore Metal Sonic's going to pick up a victory. But I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy victory. What was I going to say? Yeah, because we know that the rule for interferences is still active. I don't think we stress that enough. Mainly because we want to keep it a surprise and, like that. But the ASF does not punish people for getting involved unless it is written out on paper, like we did with Mascot Mania with the YouTube Championship match, and we said anyone that gets involved is fired. But otherwise, unless it's specifically stated, you can get involved. We do allow interferences to keep that spontaneous if, anything could quite possibly happen. And we've had run-ins before, on matches where all the rules are in place. So they can quite easily come involved here. So the anti-heroes inevitably is probably going to get involved in some capacity. So that could be the deciding factor for this match. But is Metal Sonic going to be able to survive that? He's probably expecting it. If I'm expecting it, he's definitely expecting it. This isn't his first rodeo when it comes to the world title. He knows the stakes in this environment in the ASF of, people could get involved and interfere, especially if they're in a faction. They're going to support each other. Or in a tag team, and there's a one-on-one match, they're going to support each other or whatever. So there's a possibility here that any member of the anti-heroes are possibly going to get involved. But if they do, what is going to be the outcome of that? Unpredictability is this match, but I'm hoping Metal Sonic is prepared for it on that front. Because I bet your bottom dollar that Tails is not prepared for Metal Sonic in any capacity. Like I said, I think this is a big mind game. A very, very big mind game by Metal Sonic, and he's going to come out on top. So if you want a victory for me, I'm going to say Metal Sonic, but the unpredictable factor of the interference may come into play. Again, it's a 50-50 depending on what if, but I'm just pointing out the possibilities. Because, if you haven't thought about it in advance, then I'm here. That's what this whole breakdown show is for in the first place, to tell you this could happen and this could happen. Something that I may not even say could happen, that's the unpredictable nature of it. But it gives you a fair idea of what to expect going into this match. And that's what could possibly happen, but depending on what happens, depends on who's going to win.
So is this going to be an even tighter percentage for the victory?
Yeah, I really can't call this one. It's definitely tough. Why don't you just do the whole Premiere Live feed again?
Okay. Premiere Live feed, what do you think? Are we going to see... oh yeah, that's the other thing we actually needed to talk about while you try and decide a victor, is the Undisputed Championship. That's what's going to be crowned to the winner, right? But whichever wins, the YouTube and the world title are on the line technically. But whoever loses will lose their championship. But the person who wins will not win that championship, if you know what I mean. So if Metal Sonic were to win, he will not be awarded the YouTube title, but Tails will still lose it. Whereas if Metal Sonic will lose, he will lose the World Championship, but Tails will not win it. But he will be crowned Undisputed Champion. Because for night in and night out, we've been breaking kayfabe again, speaking from the person running the whole show in the first place. I'll just talk with my normal voice for a second. There you go, it's me running the show. But going back into Alex again, the title of Undisputed means that it should never be decided again afterwards. It should just be a title that's given. But we want to see out of the two champions of who is worthy of being a champion. So whichever one loses will lose their championship, but the other one will be crowned and given the title of Undisputed I know we used it for Survivor Series with the Intercontinental and World, but that's another story for another day, and we wasn't going to follow through with that anyway because of the whole Money in the Bank cash-in with Knuckles. So we never got an Undisputed Championship, and that's kind of like our little message back then or whatever. But Undisputed means you don't have to defend it because you are it. So this is to decide, this is finality. Like, who is the best champion and who can get that crown of Undisputed Championship. Or Undisputed Champion, I should say. So that's what this match is about. But whoever loses will lose their title. And if they can try and win it back, they can try and win it back. But that's another story for another time when we come up to Season 2. But yeah, that's what this match is all about. So no one is winning anything other than the name of Undisputed Champion. And they will keep that moniker, for the rest of their time. Like in the ASF. And until they leave or until we find a new one at some point when we can have a stipulation like this of champion versus champion. But we believe it can only be champion, the highest champion of one brand versus the highest champion of another. Like the main event title deserves that kind of recognition for each brand. So that's what this is for. So no one is winning a championship. They're only losing it, and they're earning a title to use afterwards. So even if Metal Sonic were to win, say, and then he loses the World Championship afterwards, we can still call him Undisputed Champion. And the same goes for Tails. If he was to win it, then he would be named Undisputed Champion even after he would lose the YouTube title. It's that moniker to say that, I won at that time to be the best in the company at that point, and no one can take that away from me. Because these two represent the best of both brands. Metal Sonic is the best representative for professional wrestling because he loves this company, he loves the business, He loves doing this, as Eggman pointed out, and he loves being our world champion. And Tails, on the other hand, is a perfect top, the poster child for sports entertainment. He puts on a show. He does the little dance. He does the submissions. He's a goof at heart, I would almost describe as, but he's manipulating the system. He's pulling the strings as well from behind the curtain, and with the help of the chairman, he's still doing that. And that could be a factor going into this match too. You never quite know, but I don't think Metal Sonic is going to let, he's fought his way to the world title, as we pointed out, just to win it, and he's going to darn well keep it. But I guess that's my victory. I'm going to say Metal Sonic.
We're not here for that, though. We're here for my prediction.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Don't listen to me, guys. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just here to host. So, have we got a victory? Shall I take it to the live feed officially now? Now that we know what's going on?
Yes, take it to the live feed and then I'll give my results.
Alright, so let's go to, let's see now the results of who do you think is Metal Sonic going to be crowned Undisputed Champion? And will Tails lose the YouTube title? Or will it be the other way around and will Tails be able to manipulate his way through the system? What's going to give in your guys' minds? Is Tails going to be Undisputed Champion and Metal Sonic will be stripped of the World Championship after that? Because if he loses to Tails, probably damn right we should strip him of him.
Yeah.
So what's your take?
So I'm being biased. Metal Sonic.
Alright, really? That simple? No percentage?
Alright then. Metal Sonic, 51%, Tails 49% chance of success. But it all depends and comes down to what's going to happen in the match. I mean, Tails is more than capable, as I've said, and he's got the interference from the anti-airs. But who's to say that Raw can't interfere as well? We can fight fire with fire. So that could happen too. So this match really is up for it's a coin toss, but maybe just minusculely in the favor of Metal Sonic, because I believe that he's gone through with this master plan that's going to benefit him. Because he's too passionate and knows how mind games work in this industry. Trust me. So he could be the winner. So I'm definitely leaning more in his direction. So maybe he isn't biased after all. But we'll see. You gonna wrap things up now?
Yes, we've been talking for long enough. And we're gonna thank you all for attending. We didn't think how long. I estimated this was actually going to be about an hour and 10 minutes, and we've gone way over that, but I don't mind. I hope you don't mind. That being the fans out there listening to this, the guys they're listening to this on the premiere live feed, and if you've been watching this after the live feed's gone out, then congratulations for making it to the end, and also definitely give your insights to the matches. We'd love to get feedback. It's the best way we can learn how to adapt here in the ASF, and we can, get ready for season 2. But that's another story for another day. But in the meantime, don't forget, I still got to talk about that. We've got the pre-show coming up before Bash of the Brands. It will come out literally 24 hours before Bash of the Brands happens, and they're both going to premiere. Bash of the Brands is going to premiere, and then for you to set a reminder or whatever. We don't know exactly the specific dates at this point because we're recording this kind of early. Before I finish the show, talking behind the scenes stuff here. Yeah. So yes, there will be a pre-show 24 hours, but that will go out after. So keep your eye out for the pre-show, and definitely keep your eye out, obviously, for Bash of the Brands, because it's going to be a huge night. There's some really important, pivotal matches in this show, and it's the last one of Season 1, and we're going to end it off definitely with a bang. But what kind of bang will it go out with? Will it be an anti-hero bang? Or will it be, well, I guess we'll say a pro wrestling bang.
I like a pro wrestling bang.
Shut up, you. We know what you like.
Oh, okay then. I'll take my leave, shall I?
Yeah, you get out of Anyway, yeah, it's been fun to debate. Always love doing this, which is why we do it in the first place, and it's a chance for you guys to give us some insight onto what you think is going to happen at our big show that is coming up very, very, very hopefully very soon, at the time of this posting. So look forward to it. Bash the Brands is going to be promising to be very huge. It's our final big show of season 1, so we're definitely going to pull out all the stops to make sure it feels special in that way. Yeah, once again, thank you all so much for watching and spending time here, but I am going to wrap things up. We've hit 1 hour and 40 minutes, so definitely going to shut up. But thank you once again. We'll see you at the pre-show of Bash of the Brands and Bash of the Brands itself. What's going down on the pre-show before you go? Just a couple of matches I've got to list off here. Apparently, the chairman has put Bomberman in a match, and that match is going to be against Wario.
Oh, interesting. Former tag partners.
Yeah, so former tag partners. Wario is still employed in the ASF, and not many people know that. So he still can be contracted to perform, and he's going to be on our pre-show facing Bomberman. Also, we've got a women's match. It's going to be Kana, that crazy Kana, and she's going to be taking on Amy on our pre-show.
Yeah, see? Something's going to happen there. I know it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But yes, it will be Amy versus Kana. So, definitely stuff to watch there. And also, the chairman has personally told me that he's going to be calling out Manic on our pre-show for Bash of the Brands.
Of course he is. Interesting.
So that is all to look forward to. But we will see you then, and I'm ending things now. But look forward to the pre-show, and of course, for Bash of the Brands. We'll see you then. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Eggman.
Oh, goodbye.
Got him off guard. Alright, we are going. But thank you. And look forward to the season finale. It's going to be huge.
Don't forget Raw, too.
Yeah, don't forget Raw.